correctly. Michael Benoit, so let's have a hand for Michael Benoit, everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello. I guess you can hear me. You've been hearing from about the thievery in the local government, thievery in the state government, and thievery in the federal government. I'm here to talk to you about the biggest bank robbery in the history of the United States. And I'm not talking about people robbing a bank. I'm talking about a bank robbing the people, the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, a lot of people don't really have a grasp on what money is, so I brought some today. I brought a silver dollar. This is money. In the year 2000, this silver dollar was worth about $4. Today, you're going to have to give about $27 or $28 for it. $35 an ounce for silver, but the silver dollar is a little bit less because it's not 100% silver. I also brought a gold piece. Hope somebody didn't steal it from me, because this gold piece was worth $250 in the year 2000, and today it's worth $1,500. So you might want to ask yourself, boy, silver and gold are getting to be more valuable. And that's not the case. It's the dollar that is becoming less valuable. Now, the way the Federal Reserve Bank works, and the way it's been working, this kind of money institution of a money system has been working this way for a couple of hundred years. Prior to the Revolutionary War, the term bank meant the issuance of notes as credit. And what they did in the colonies, they didn't have a lot of silver and gold. So to solve the problem of having money shortage, they issued notes. That's what we got now with the Federal Reserve notes. They issued notes and they circulated these notes, but they issued these notes as debt. They weren't issued out and spent directly like, say, the Lincoln did with the greenback, or Kennedy did in 1963 with the U.S. note. These notes were issued as debt, and they were backed up by people's mortgages, and that circulated as money in the country. Well, they ended up having that money turn into worthless paper, and 100 years later, in the early 1700s, they did the same thing. And this writer, I've written a book recently, this writer, it was written in 1884, he refers to how the people in 1720 and 1730 didn't learn their lesson from the people in the original colonies. They did the same thing, to issue paper money. Now, the way the game works today, folks, and it worked back then when they used paper money instead of real money, instead of gold and silver, is that the United States Printing Office will print, say, $1 trillion, and that $1 trillion would go to the Federal Reserve Bank, and they turn around and buy $1 trillion worth of United States Treasury notes. So how this game works is your children, your grandchildren are on the hook for another $1 trillion in debt, and then that $1 trillion, of course, is spent by the government. It waters down the value of the dollars that are in your pocket. So this is the reason your gasoline is going from went from $1.25 in the year 2000 to $4 now. This is the reason a lot of your commodities are going up. If you check the price of commodities in the year 2000 versus the year 2011, you'll see that many of your commodities have either doubled, tripled, or quadrupled in price. And it's not that somehow these people are all getting more money from us. Not even the oil companies, I hate to tell you. And even if the oil companies made $13 billion of profit this year, the federal government got 5 times that off of the sale of the oil. The oil is increased in price 5 times since the year 2000. It was about $20 a barrel then, about $100 a barrel now. Well, as we pointed out, the price of silver is 8 times, and the price of gold about 7 times. So you're not seeing, this is not a situation where one of your particular parties is causing your inflation. This is the Federal Reserve banking system, and both political parties are supporting this. Ron Paul has a bill in there. He's been putting a bill in Congress for years to audit the Federal Reserve Bank to see what they're doing and where they're putting this money. There's 135 co-sponsors, 145 co-sponsors of the Fed, audit the Fed bill, but not one San Diego congressperson has signed on to audit the Fed. Now, folks, this is not brain surgery. Federal Reserve Bank is robbing you twice as much as any level of government with the obscene levels of taxation in government. Federal Reserve Bank is robbing you and taxing you, devaluing all of your life savings. And when they double the money supply, they're cutting the value of your savings in half. Now, you don't see all of this right away. It takes a while for these prices to actually reach the grocery store and the commodities, and you'll see it coming down the road. We're going to have more and more inflation, and this is going to put more and more people out of work. This is the same thing that occurred in the Roaring *20s when the Federal Reserve Bank poured open the money supply to kick the economy into higher gear. Then they cut the spigot a few years later, and we had our depression. We've seen the same thing occur in the 1990s with the Roaring '90s, if you will, and now we're suffering the consequences of of overextending the money supply, and they can't keep pumping up the economy with fake currency. And throughout our history of the United States, every time we had paper currency, our systems would collapse. That's why the founders put in the Constitution that no state should accept anything but gold and silver as payment in debt, and that no bills of credit shall be issued. A Federal Reserve note is a bank note, it's a bill of credit, it's not backed by anything, and when they print this to try to spur the economy, we all end up worse off for it. And so the future is bleak on this basis alone. If we don't stop them from printing money to keep paying the bills, this is worse than any taxation you might not experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael Benoit. All right, we're winding down on the presidential poll vote. Has everybody voted? Anybody not voted yet? If you haven't voted, go back to the table back there. It's Jack and Elaine. Jack and Elaine, would you wave your arms, please? They're right back there. Go finish voting so we can give you the final tabulation after the next speaker. So please go do it. Please go do it now, okay? We're very interested to see who your preference is for president. Thank you very much. Now we have, and I'm very happy to